Hello, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome again to RGR Football. I'm your host for this segment, Danilo DiGiulio, aka ThunderDan88 across social media. You can call me Thunder or DJ in the chat. Make sure you drop any questions and ideas and thoughts you have. Any problems, if you like it, throw a thumbs up. If you don't, throw a thumbs down and tell us why. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe tab and tap that notification bell. Make sure you get notified every time we have new segments coming out for you. We do that on a weekly basis with a number of different types of segments from different contributors. I'm here to talk to you today about the defense. This is a little Kingdom Corner segment I want to cover today. We talked about the offense last week, and the defense has to be covered as well. It's the much too early look at the roster and who might stick and who might not. I feel like it's going to be a less exciting aspect than some other spots for some people, more like playing Madden with a really strong franchise and going through the off season and not making a lot of changes. You're gonna have the same guys taking the field in a lot of cases as we had last year, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's solidifying an already strong team. Sorry, the words are jumbled tonight, folks. It's been a long week. We're going to have the usual suspects. On the D-line, we're going to have Chris Jones. We're going to have Frank Clark. We have a new guy, Jerron Reed. That's a big change. That's one of the few big changes. And then on the inside, Derek Nottie will likely be the number one. And then it's going to be any combination along the D-line of Taco Charlton, Tershawn, Call Me Turk, Wharton, Colin Saunders should stick around. Tim Ward looked like he earned some playing time last year. But then you have draft picks and rookies that were UDFAs, such as Joshua Kando and Malik Herring. How are they going to fit? Are they going to fit? Who's going to stick around? And then a cast of characters, a cadre of guys like Mike Dana, who had earned some playing time last year. Where are they going to fit? Are they going to be on this team? The linebacking core, we'll get into in a little bit. That's the one that makes me the most nervous, because the safeties, it's Teron Matthew, it's Daniel Sorensen, it's Juan Thornhill, it's the usual suspects. In the corner position, we've got LJ Sneed, who looks like he's going to be a star for this team for quite some time to come. DeAndre Baker, who when healthy, I think is going to be a starter. He looks good. Rashad Fenton's not giving up his playing time to anybody, although we did bring over Mike Hughes, who looks like another guy who's going to contribute and get that time, and they still have Travarius Ward sticking around on this football team. So those of you who don't love him, sorry, it looks like he's going to be a part of this team for a while yet, at least for another season. Then you have a bunch of other guys. You have Bo Pete Keys, you have DiCaprio Boodle, you have Devon Key, all these guys that were brought in that are anywhere from UDFAs to signees off the street, and we're not sure if they're going to fit, if they're going to stick. You have UDFA and Shane Anderson, who possibly could stick in the safeties positions, but we're going to have to find out. It's going to be time and details kind of thing. There's a lot of guys. It's kind of like the show when I was a kid. They had a show called Gilligan's Island. Okay, and when the first incarnation of the show, the first year or two, they would introduce the cast, except for the last two. They'd say, "And the rest are here." They'd identify them by name. Gillian, the skipper, to a millionaire and his wife, and then movie star, and the rest. The rest was Professor and Mary Ann. There's a lot of Professors and Mary Anns on this team. They eventually did get introduced in, I believe, the third season, but for the first couple of years, they were just the also-rans, and that's what brings me to the linebacker position and my concern, because unlike the defensive line, where they have guys that stood out last year that look like they could earn some playing time, look like they deserve some reps on this starting team in some way, shape, or form. Corners, there's 14 corners on this team. It's crazy. There's a lot of guys, a lot of young guys that look like they have a lot of potential to pop this year, and they could be something special, and we'll have to see how that pans out. The safety spots, we still have Armani Watts battling for a spot on this team. Like I said, Shane Anderson looks like a younger, faster, potentially Daniel Sorensen type guy. That could be great if he's a playmaker anywhere near the credentials of Dan Sorensen. He's probably going to be with this team for quite some time. And along the D line, the D ends and D tackles, there's a mishmash of guys that range from solid to potentially really good. And we really don't know exactly what we have in some of them, but it's going to be fun waiting to find out. It's going to be fun finding out if Joshua Kando looks as good in Chiefs red and gold as he did in Florida State's uniform on given plays, although it wasn't consistent. It wasn't enough tape that's why he didn't go high in the draft. And you have things like the Ohio State defensive lineman or Georgia defensive lineman, Malik Herring, who was injured, so he didn't get drafted. And we don't know, is he going to be all that, or is he going to be just another guy? Cut to the linebacking position. It's Anthony Hitchens. It's Willie Gay Jr. It's our second round draft pick, Nick Bolton. And then it's a bunch of guys. It's Dorian O'Daniel, who looked amazing at Clemson, but has never been able to crack the starting roster, never been able to get a decent amount of reps as a starter in the NFL or as a depth guy in the NFL. It's Ben Nieman, who is as underwhelming as he is a nice guy. It's guys that don't pop. It's guys that don't fill me with confidence that our linebacking position is going to be any more strong than it was last year, let alone stellar in any way, shape, or form, except for Nick Bolton, who probably isn't going to play a ton because he plays Anthony Hitchens' spot. And we don't know if he's going to be moved around, if he's going to be rotated through the roster as different, like if he's going to play the Will and then the Sam and then the Mac on different downs. He's potentially got the ability to play all three spots, but he's not ideal size-wise or athleticism-wise for all three spots. Very few guys are. It's going to be a challenge, I think, for them to find the right depth and the right combination. That said, Jerron Reed up front, and the big change, moving Chris Jones to the edge on a lot of downs. It seems like it's more and more talked about as camp has gone along and as the preseason's coming along. Spags keeps iterating that, Chris Jones is going to play a lot of defensive end. That's a horse of a different color for this team. Chris on the edge, with Jerron in the middle not losing a lot of what Chris brought. And then Derek Nottie, of course, holding down his spot. And then Frank on the other side. It's going to be a real headache for teams trying to stop those four guys coming after their quarterbacks, plugging the holes for the run, and just putting all-around pressure and holding edges so players can't escape or can't extend plays. Chris Jones can be a havoc maker. He can wreak havoc on other offenses, and that's a great thing. And that could embolden the linebacking core and make them better than they are, make them look at least better than they are, possibly open up opportunities for Hitchens and Nick Bolton and Willie Gay, the fastest of the three, to shoot gaps and blow plays up in the backfield. Just isn't a lot of depth there, folks. I'm very concerned. I'd like to hear from you guys out there. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you concerned about our linebacking core? Do you think the Chiefs, like I think, are going to pick up another linebacker or two in free agency once the cutdown days happen? Depending on who gets released, we could see an influx of a couple of different players at a couple of different positions. And I think linebacker is one of those spots where we might see a new guy wearing Chiefs red and gold who actually gets a lot of playing time. We might see a few guys released from the Chiefs roster, depending on who does get cut loose. It's one of those positions right now where, as much as this team has been to back-to-back Super Bowls, and I'm as ecstatic about it as anybody out there. Chiefs Kingdom, I love this team. I have all the faith in the world in this team. I believe we can get back and make it happen, and we can win it. The linebacking position, and the more I think about it, because somebody posed the question earlier this week on RGR Football, if there was one position we were concerned about, the more I think about it, folks, that's the one spot where I'm less than feeling golden. I really could use a young DJ. We could really use a Derek Thomas. I mean, when could you not use a Derek Thomas? But we could just really use a really solid backup depth guy that can come in for 20, 30% of the snaps and not miss a beat, especially if we get guys get nicked up and miss any meaningful playing time. Linebacker could be a weakness for our Kansas City Chiefs. I hope I'm wrong. I hope some guys surprise. Maybe Dorian O'Daniel finally steps up and takes a hold of that fourth spot. We'll have to wait and see. I'm here for it. It's going to be fun. Go Chiefs.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.